All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Christian Anime Podcast. Oh, well, sorry, the second installation of Oomfie News. Today, I am joined here by Rookie. How are you today, good sir?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing quite well.
And could you introduce yourselves to? Could you introduce yourself to the to everyone here? Like, what do you do? I guess what's your theological background? What's your denominational background? All that sort of stuff. Political leanings as well.
There's not really much to say, as you know, because as of recent I moved to a new place, so there hasn't been much for me to do. Theologically, I've surrounded myself by people who read a lot, so
Yeah.
generally, whenever I need to find out something on a topic, I can just ask them. It's a big old library. So
I gotcha. I gotcha.
as far the most I've read as of recent is stuff regarding moral theology from Liguori,
Mm,
because his his writings are absolutely beautiful. They're really good. They're really good.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really helpful when we go back and read in the past. I think there's this strange obsession by people who are like, oh no, the past is like archaic and won't ever like apply stuff to modern day stuff. But yeah, I think it's so helpful to seek out the wisdom of the past because literally all the questions that are ever asked have already been asked before. And yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like that one argument that you hear people make where it's like what's that stupid question they always say? It's like, if God omnipotent, what if he makes a rock that even he can't lift?
Yeah, and that has already been answered, and it's kind of crazy that yeah, atheists never say anything new, non-believers say never say anything new, so it's already been answered before. All right, so as you know, everyone, you've read the title of the video. It's a hit piece on the individual known as Samurai Ghost Girl. I am under the understanding that Rookie has actually interacted with this individual for a long time. So, to what capacity do you know Sammy? Do you know him IRL? It looks like, well, from our chats, I think you, well, you're not,
Uh
but like you know
no.
him. Yeah,
I don't know him in real life.
right, right.
I wasn't too close to him, but he was
I
certainly
gotcha.
he was certainly in like a few servers I was in every now and then.
I
But
see.
I've chatted with people that have met him. I've gotten their input on everything.
I
You
gotcha. I
know.
gotcha. And I guess how long have you known Sammy? Like, what's your history with him? I guess.
I I remember my first impression of Sammy was just he was like another guy on like AnyTweet. He just didn't
Mm,
do much. He was just another funny guy. I didn't really
yeah.
mind him. He was all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Over time, I saw just get worse, and then what was it like in late July? It was like
Right.
4 in the morning, and somebody shows all the that was going on. And that was
Yeah.
certainly a shock. Actually, it wasn't much of a shock after what happened in May, but that's for later.
Yeah, I gotcha, I gotcha. And I think I also had the same impression of Sammy is he's just like any other guy and then out of nowhere came all of this other stuff which I did not sign up for. So yeah, yeah.
Nobody did.
Yeah. Totally, totally. So, of course, just like last episode, we talked about the gay LARP. Yeah, I tried to explain it from my perspective and in terms of why I thought it was bad, but I thought it would be also helpful to get the Catholic perspective alongside, which I guess Rookie here can bring along. And he's going to go through a few sources now, I suppose. So I think the key word here, just for our Protestant viewers, is scandal, actually. So if you want to go where you were going to go first and then directly define like
No,
what scandal was as
oh
well.
no, scandal is very easy to define. So
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll do that first.
Yeah.
Scandal is basically the sin of causing another one to fall into sin.
Right. Right.
That's essentially how it is. So scandal could be like, immodest clothing, as you'll see some internet Catholics like get on about, or
Yeah.
as you can see in more recent cases, Pope Francis talking about lace. Could be posting bad images. I know some of the people watching this out of spite. Uh, they've definitely done this. Posting like revealing images, posting like
Yep.
immodest images, and as we can see here, it can also apply to the way you talk. It's with people, which
Right.
this is exactly where I was gonna go. So
I gotcha. I gotcha. And I understand you've got a few sources. So yeah, go ahead. Take the
yeah,
reins. Take the reins.
I've got quite a few.
Yeah.
Well, starting with scripture, we have Ephesians 4:29, which you cited before.
Yeah.
Um, There's also Ephesians 5:4 and Matthew 12:36. I don't
Mm.
have it pulled up right now, so you could put that on the screen whenever you're
Yeah,
editing
yeah. In
post
post, it'll
production.
be done. So don't worry, viewers.
Yeah.
They are in the Bible. So no, don't worry, my Protestant viewers. The Catholics do have our same Bible. So there you go. Except the Apocrypha, but we won't talk about that right now.
So Ligore has a whole sermon on immodest speech. I'm
Mm.
not going to read out the whole thing because, frankly, that's too long, and
Yeah,
that people can read that themselves,
yeah.
assuming they're not lazy. So I'll just take quotes from that basically sum up the most important points, being that it harms the people that hear it, and it also harms the people that do it themselves.
Mm.
And so he cites Augustine saying, in explaining the 140th Psalm, St. Augustine calls those who speak obscenely the mediators of Satan, ministers of Lucifer, because by their obscene language, the demon of impurity gets access to souls which by his own suggestions he cannot enter. Then he goes on to quote something else, I believe Psalm 11, something
Mm.
else. I
Yeah.
can't remember the abbreviations because I'm so tired. Those who indulge in obscene language, it has been well said, their throat is an open sepulchre. The mouths of those who can utter nothing but filthy obscenities are, according to St. Chrysostom, so many open sepulchres of putrefied carcasses. And something in Latin I don't feel like butchering right now.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
that's on the point of immodest speech can, it can impact other people.
Mm.
And then there's also the fact that I didn't write this down. I don't feel like pulling it up. But he also said that like it's worse of a crime than like killing a bunch of people with a blunderbuss, because whereas you murder their bodies, the people who overhear you saying this,
Right.
they their souls are impacted, not just the flesh.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. So, and I think that's the key there, which is like what we're doing. It's not a physical thing, I guess, because we'll get into the stuff where he talks about, oh, I'm only acting online, I suppose. But I think,
Oh,
yeah,
that is that's another funny one. That's another
yeah,
funny one.
yeah. That's
So
actually, yeah. Go on.
and to quote his the other half of the sermon where he talks about how it like does harm to the person in specific, like the person doing it.
Right.
He quotes Ecclesiastes, or however you pronounce it.
Mm.
Be not taken in thy tongue, says the Holy Ghost. Beware lest your tongue you forge a chain which will drag you to hell. The tongue, says St. James, defileth the whole body, and inflameth the wheel of our nativity. Generally, by doing this, you're not only are you scandalizing other people, you are hurting your own self,
Mm.
because not only you're committing scandal, but as it said before, it's an insult to God to be saying all of this. It's
Right.
disgusting. It's vile, and especially when you're joking about a sin that is like it's so disgusting that even the demons find it repulsive.
Mm.
Saint
Yeah.
Catherine of Siena says this. If I can find that.
And I'll just add alongside that as well because I think oh, what was I going to say?
Yeah.
Bugger. Sammy, I know you like you've said on Twitter, oh, you get off on the hate, right? But like we're not doing this out of like just for the fun of it or just for nonsense things. We're actually doing this because we kind of care about people when they sin, and we do care about your soul and the fact that if you keep doing this and if you keep causing others to stumble as well, if you keep engaging in scandal, then there are consequences. You may not take it seriously, but there are serious consequences for this. Your conduct online is the same as your conduct. Like you will have to give an account to God on the day of judgment when you do end up there. So I think this stuff really matters whether or not you see it as just terminally online stuff, but we do care about this, and we don't just do this out of it's and giggles, basically. So yeah,
Some people do that. Their names are
yeah.
Fungus. Their names are Fungus and Oomflister, and whoever else is
Right,
in that
right,
group for the time
yeah, yeah.
being. The quote from Siena on the topic of like sodomy or generally homosexuality, they not only failed from resisting this frailty of fallen human nature, but they do even worse as they commit the cursed sin against nature. Like the blind and stupid, having dimmed the light of their understanding, they do not recognize the disease and misery in which they find themselves. For this not only causes me nausea, but displeases even the demons themselves, whom the miserable creatures have chosen as their lords. For me, this sin against nature is so abominable that for it alone 5 cities were submersed by the virtue of the judgment of my divine justice, which could no longer bear them. It is disagreeable to the demons, not because evil displeases them and they find pleasure in good, but because their nature is angelic and thus is repulsed. upon seeing such an enormous sin being committed. It is true that it is the demon who hits the sinner with the poisoned arrow of lust, but when a man carries out such a sinful act, the demon leaves. So when you treat something like this as just a mere trifle, as just a joke, as just like a mere joke, that's like actually disgusting.
Mm.
Like you're treating mortal sin. You're treating mortal sin that's even discussing the demons as just like a mere joke. Mortal sin, this doesn't really have to be said, but mortal sin is like the greatest offense to God.
Mm.
It's been said by someone that Ligori quoted Father Medina, I believe, in one of his sermons, saying, "If it were possible, mortal sin would destroy God because it would be the cause of infinite sorrow to him."
Yeah, if you do want to, because we've been focusing on Sammy, of course, this whole time, but there are other people now that I guess
Yeah,
feel free to
there's
go ahead.
there's quite a few. There's quite
Yeah,
a few.
yeah,
Before I go on to that,
yeah.
I wanna quote something.
Mm.
I want to quote something that is very much applicable to the people that say, "Oh, it's just bait. It's just a joke. Oh, I'm just doing this online.
Right,
It doesn't
right,
matter." Because when I read this today, when I was looking back on it today, when I was reading it, I was actually laughing to myself a bit. That's just from Ligori. The misfortune is that from the mouths of hell that frequently utter immodest works regard them as trifles and are careless about confessing them. And when rebuked for them, they say, "I say these words in jest and without malice. Unhappy man, these jests make the devil laugh and shall make you weep for eternity in hell." So,
yeah,
as as for the other people, we not only have Sammy, well,
right,
we also have Jez. We have Jez, who's like the main participant. Sammy just drags along, and I'm pretty sure I remember it got to a point where even Jez was telling him, "Hey, nobody cares about this drama. Please stop."
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But
gotcha.
you have Jez. You have somebody like Jez who's constantly Gaylarping, constantly like adopting the effeminate,
Mm.
and it even gets to a point. There's just like this cross-dresser. I think it's like he goes by Darth. You
Right.
have Jez just constantly commenting underneath all of his like cross-dressing posts or liking them, and this is hysterical because everybody in that group loves this guy.
Right.
But you can't really like morally justify it with that alone. But then when you add on to the fact that on this Ko-Fi or Coffee account, the guy literally has an age warning,
Huh.
and that has to be added by the owner of the account.
Mm.
For what reason are they supporting this man? I don't know.
Yeah.
And how could they justify it? Nobody knows either. It's
Yeah.
fucking gross. And then you have people like Red, Captain of the Iowa he used to go by. You
Mm.
have it him you have him like like proudly putting Catholic in his bio, or you have him like proudly professing the faith. But like you scroll through his account, it's like Gaylarp, Gaylarp, like like immodest picture of an anime girl, Gaylarp. Oh,
Mm.
something about the faith. Oh, half naked anime girl. Him like shilling something that's like absolutely disgusting, such
Right.
as um. What was it like? Some person called Cars Curious Cat post where people are just horny because Ooga Booga E girl.
Right. Right.
And on the topic of that person, that's another person in the group. And nobody's really. And the worst part about her is that she's been posting like revealing pictures of herself, even a bra pic that somebody was like bothering me about.
Right.
Because for some reason, people just send me these people's tweets when I'm like trying to mind my business sometimes.
Mm.
But you have all these people. You see, they see their friend like posting all of these, basically prostituting themselves and not doing shit about it.
Right.
And this is also what kind of leads to the Giller problem. People are too spineless to call it sin. They don't care because they think it's funny. They
Mm.
think it's either they think it's funny or they think it's all in good fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
help them. It doesn't help the people involved. They're just like, "Oh, I don't want to be mean."
Mm.
Doesn't matter if you want to be mean or not.
Yeah, because you do have to actually like, aren't we supposed to be like the light of the world, and aren't we supposed to be? We're like Satan's the father of lies, and we're supposed to be the ones who are within truth, right? And I think it's just,
Yeah,
yeah, it's so unfortunate that there's not necessarily an endorsement, but because none of you have like, okay, we're not trying to be mean here, right? We're just saying how it is, right? Which is when we see sin, we are supposed to call it out because we are supposed to be brothers and sisters in Christ, right? We're supposed to be uplifting each other. We're supposed to be, iron sharpens iron. We're supposed to be trying to help each other out in terms of our sin issues. And when you're not doing that and you're instead encouraging sin, you're not you're not following the calling at which Christ has called you upon your life, right? So I'm under the understanding as well that you wanted to rant a bit more about these people, especially the one who the individual who prostituted themselves, like, I suppose, to the internet.
Car. Well, the thing about
Yeah.
Car is that originally Car, I only knew about Car because when I was being given all the leaks, somebody was just showing me. Oh,
Right.
like, because I thought Car was a guy, as everyone else does, because they don't talk, they refuse to like outright say it.
Right.
But it was when Car was just showing off themselves in tights and a hoodie and saying, "I miss winter," and like Sammy and Jess saying he's so cute and whatever. But this person, I remember I confronted them under on like a Curious Cat post, and I went into their comments. I was like, "Hey, why do you have this banner with Our Lady on it if you're gonna like if you're not only going to put porn in your pinned, this was before that, but this still applies now because they're probably going to be shown this or it's going to be mentioned to them. So like, why do you have porn in your pinned if you're going to have Our Lady in like as your banner? Why are you going to like why are you going to post all of this garbage of you in like clearly immodest clothing? Why are you going to post like softcore porn in the replies of other people, and so on and so forth?
Mm.
And when I said this, they basically just said, "Oh, fuck off." And when I replied, they just went on a whole spiel about, "Oh, converts are bad. They have like these really high standards that supposedly I can't follow, but the standards are literally just it's literally just the basics of the faith."
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, mind you, podcast. I am not a convert. I was born into the faith,
Yeah.
so this doesn't really apply to me. I'm not a convert. I'm just some kid who reads a lot, and
Right.
not
Right.
not even a lot. I just read a little, and it doesn't take much to realize that wow, you really shouldn't be doing anything that's been mentioned on this podcast. You shouldn't be gay larping. You shouldn't be saying obscene or sexual shit. You shouldn't be indulging in any of this.
Mm. Yeah, it's a sin. It's a sin to your body as well, because this is something that I usually say to people who don't really like. Yeah, this is something I say to liberal women actually, which is you may say that you're not really affecting anyone else, but it's your body is not your own, right? God gave you your body, and for you to be desecrating it, we're supposed to also be temples of the Holy Spirit, right? So for you to be desecrating your body, I think it's such an affront to God. It is a lot worse than if you sin against others because you're sinning against your own body, right?
Well, it's real. It's literally both when you really think about it.
Yeah, yeah,
Because when you're posting these pictures, it's scandal, of course.
yeah. There's that as well. So, oh, I was gonna start bringing up some tweets. We were gonna start reading them and laughing at them.
Oh, of course.
Because I think you well, we'll start with the first one actually. Um, where we'll start
Oh,
reading.
this one.
Yeah,
I remember this one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
But
so.
I'll read it first, and then you can go and
All right.
respond to it. So this first
All right.
tweet from Sammy is watching trads in quote retweets prove once more that they don't know how to have fun and are too moronic to understand the concept of bait is beautiful. Imagine having no life outside of policing an insufferable, irrelevant subsection of Twitter. Y'all got played too hard, Lamau. So yeah.
Well, here's the funny thing about that is what the tweet is referring to because I saw it before this account got suspended because it's suspended as of time of recording. I don't know if
Mm,
they'll ever get unsuspended, but when when the original post went up, you didn't really see anybody with crosses. And like when you scrolled through most of it, it wasn't mainly like people with crosses or papal flags or anything. It was literally
right.
just like regular anime profile picture people being, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you talk about this? This is
Right.
disgusting."
Right.
And generally, yeah, no, as a Christian, you shouldn't be discussing this either. You shouldn't be talking about these kinds of
Mm,
things
yeah.
because, like, you're supposed not only you're supposed to hold yourself to a higher standard. It's like yeah, you should hold yourself to a higher standard. There's definitely an issue when you're indistinguishable from a secular person.
Mm,
But Saint Francis de Sales talks about this in Introduction to the Devout Life, where in his section about purity, where he says, "Be exceedingly quick in turning aside the slightest thing leading to impurity, for it is an evil which approaches stealthily, and in the very smallest beginnings are apt to grow rapidly. It is always easier to fly from such evils than to cure them." I mean, we've seen this already. First, indulging in mild gay LARP then leads to whatever the is going on now.
yeah. Definitely. Definitely. The slippery slope is real. So yeah, do not entertain sin. It's not great for you. So yeah. And again, another reminder, like your sin does affect not only you, but all of us. And yeah, for when people join this community, of course, as well. Like I think there are people who do want to maintain unity. They do want to maintain, like they don't want to be mean to each other. And when you start creating that culture and more people from outside join into this community, they may have had like their previous convictions about sin, and then for you to suddenly so blatantly and flagrantly like show off your sin, I think it's more unfortunate when outsiders come in and they change their convictions because of what they see, how they see you act online. So yeah, there's that as well.
Yeah.
All right, another this second one I thought was funny as well, but this is your reminder that I am an evil, mentally deranged, gay larping homosexual, wannabe transgender, cross-dressing attention whore, groomer who subverts the right-wing movement, perverts Christian values, and hates Christ, and I don't give a frick. Just so you know, God bless, and it's got the uwu face there. So yeah, um,
This is I mean, what is there to say here
yeah.
to joke about hating God? I mean, that's disgusting in and of itself.
Mm, yeah, definitely, definitely. So,
That's disgusting in and of itself, as is, joke about apostate. I've heard conflicting sources if he's an apostate by now or not,
right.
uh which is why earlier I mainly quoted the church fathers inside of that sermon. But
Mm,
also, I mean, as you were mentioning earlier, somebody who had their convictions of sin, it could
mm,
be, you know, it could be completely changed because of how he's acting. In that sense, maybe he is like kind of a subversive, but I don't
mm,
really see any Twitter as like as an actual movement. I just see it as a little community. I don't
yeah,
see it. I don't really see it as like a serious movement like a lot of the people that are critiquing Sammy. I will not lie. A lot of the people that do critique Sammy are some of them are just as bad as him. Like I
right,
scroll
right.
through their accounts and it's like lolly porn.
I gotcha, I gotcha. The pot calling the kettle black. Goodness, um,
Yeah.
it's terrible. That's terrible. I think it's this sort of rhetoric, I guess, coming from Sammy. Oh yeah, that's right. I think I can't remember if we addressed it last podcast, but I do remember the tweet. I'll put it up in post if I remember to find it. But he does say how he gets off to like hatred and people like talking about him. So
Oh,
because of that, because of his own admission, I suppose we will take you seriously on that comment. And I guess this will be, hopefully, this will be, or definitely this will be the last time we talk about Sammy and the Gaylar. Like all the sources are here, all the justifications are here. Our case has been clearly outlined here. So I don't think we'll keep farming you for content, I suppose. It's something that only needs to be said once and it doesn't need to be repeated over and over and over again. And if we do need to do that, then, like at that point, I will be treating it as throwing pearls to swine.
yeah.
All right. And last thread here. It's a very long thread. This was the thread where he
Oh,
said,
it's this
yeah,
big
the
gross
one.
thread. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of immodesty. Sorry, I spot 2 or 3 counts of immodesty here. So again, a bit
There's quite a
disappointed.
few.
Yeah. Of course, the gay larp scare, and the fear mongering, or the so-called fear mongering. I guess, yeah, this is the last bit of fear mongering, or hopefully from my side anyway, before I completely ignore you. I'll just say a few quotations from it rather than read the whole thing. So before I begin, it's important to understand that Sam is merely a character. It's easy to be someone else on the internet, like a celebrity that
Oh,
presents himself one way to maintain an image but acts differently in private.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the
go.
thing about that is that I had confirmation by a former friend of his that he would actually egg on people whenever they like did cross dress or egg them on to
Ha.
cross dress just to spite the treads. Yeah, it is bad, but he would egg them on whenever they did it, or they egged them on to do it just to own the unwholesome trats or whatever the fuck.
Right, right.
And so it's like it's not just a character. You're doing some reprehensible acts, and then you're just basically pulling the card of, "Oh, I was only pretending to be retarded. I was
Mm,
only pretending to do all this." When you have in
mm.
fact done something.
Yeah,
When you've
definitely,
indeed done
definitely.
some abhorrent things.
Yeah,
The thing
yeah,
just being a joke or just part of a persona doesn't make the consequence of sin go away.
yeah, yeah. I think with the stuff on acting, which I'll also address from the way I've developed my thinking, because this is the reason why I prefer anime to like IRL movies. It's because when in romantic movies, right, the two main characters, the two actors will end up engaging in intimate acts. They may be still acting, like the actors are still acting, but they have still defiled their bodies. They have still desecrated their bodies by engaging in intimate acts with someone who they're not married with.
Yeah.
And that's why I like anime, because there's no real, it's not real, right? Because it's been animated, and there is a sense which you are acting, but you're not like physically being intimate with someone. It's just someone has animated it for you already, which is why I do like romance anime in particular, is because, and I don't like romance movies in general. I do find it troubling when you say, "Oh, I'm only acting," "Oh, hey, I'm only doing this for fun," because yeah, how much like is this how you treat sin in your life? Again, I'm not in your life, Sammy, and I'm not your pastor, or I'm not your close friend, but it does make me think do you treat sin in your own life? If you're so flagrantly like treating it like folly and for fun online. So yeah, yeah. A few more quotations from this thread before we move on to the final question. I'm just aware of our time. Yeah, half an
Yeah.
hour. Goodness. Overall, I only ever use the internet for entertainment. What else here? In regards to the gay LARP, it's really isn't anything of note to me. Just something to pass the time in the internet world. Then that became Sam's almost defining trait, something I run with gaining both negative and positive attention. Not that I distinguish between the two. I don't care about words on a screen. I with goodness gracious me, isn't that a statement? I don't care about words on the screen. I think
I
is
mean,
antithetical to how you've acted throughout this whole discourse. So yeah,
well, it's hilarious for one reason and one reason alone. When somebody ratted that I found a bunch of shit from his server.
mm.
Uh, he made he made like 3 posts saying, "Oh, I hear people are gonna expose me. I'm not gonna give them attention. What are they gonna do?" And then once the threads do come out, he's making like post after post after post for like 2 weeks or a week, and talking about how little he cares or how stupid his critics are.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then I hear word that, oh, it's actually affecting him. It's like, okay, which one is it? Does he not care? Does he actually care? Is it affecting him?
Is it all an act, by the way, as well? So that's another thing which I think is so important to know, which is the fact that you've said all of this. It's this is it makes you an unreliable like tweeter as well, because you do not like you're not demonstrating that you actually believe in anything, because you're going back and forth between what you're saying. You're saying that you don't care. You're saying that you only do it for entertainment. And then at the same time, oh hey, like you do care as well. So and you do want it for attention as well. So
Oh, there's also the fact that he was like, oh, it's just to pass the time, and I don't care about words on the screen. But there's a whole sermon from another saint, Saint John Vianney, or however, or
right.
Vianney, I don't know, where it's literally just a whole sermon on like how it's another sermon on why bad speech is bad. But I'll now there is yet another form of wrongdoing, which is all the more deplorable, which in that it is more common, and that is licentious talk. There is nothing more
Mm,
abominable, my dear brethren, nothing more horrible than such talk. Indeed, my children, what could be more out of keeping with the holiness of our religion than impure language? It outrages God, it scandalizes our neighbor. To put it even more clearly, loose talk releases all the passions. Very often it requires only one immodest or unseemly word to start 1,000 evil thoughts, 1,000 shameful desires, perhaps even to cause a fall into an infinite number of other sins, and to bring to innocent souls evil of which they had happily been ignorant. Can the
mm,
Christian really afford to occupy his mind with such horrible images? A Christian who is the temple of the Holy Ghost, a Christian who has been sanctified by contact with the most adorable body and most precious blood of Jesus Christ. Oh Lord, if we had but some small idea of what we do when we commit sin,
mm.
it's only half of it. There's quite a bit more.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. So, oh boy, oh boy. All right, final stretch now. Let's see. When people started criticizing and turning on me for whatever reasons they had, it was a wake up call to how fake everything is. All I lost were people on the screen. Sam's reputation as whatever people thought he was, and faith in anything to do with the internet and the people in it. So, with nothing being lost to me, what was gained? A few things. The realization that a lot of the people I interacted with were fake, not important. I gained a few real friends and a more healthy outlook on the internet. Wow, isn't that cute? Goodness. Oh, secondly, they are hypocritical, holding no values as nothing they do or say is consistent. Isn't that something? Goodness. Um,
Jeez.
Many haters of Gaylar did it before it was popular to hate. All of them engage in far more egregious behavior. Oh, that is one thing I will say, which is it is unfortunate that there's a bunch of
Yeah.
um
Like I
yeah
said before,
Yeah. So okay, we'll concede that one point, which is there's a few lolly porn accounts that probably should also deal with their own problems. So that is fair to say.
I remember one night I was like criticizing him on him talking about, oh, it's funny how the so-called Christians treat me the worst, and I showed like every case of him just being a dick to people. For one, there's him not regretting talking about like what he said to Aris. If you remember that, he made fun of
Hmm.
Aris for not being able to get baptized,
Right,
which
right.
is ew.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's
fuck.
right. I do
Um,
remember that. Goodness.
yeah, yeah, and the one guy that came to his support, it was like this tiny little account called Fran. Nobody knows him, but when he was like piping up, I looked through his follows, and it's like porn artist after porn artist after porn artist, just
Hmm.
in his follows. And when people told him, "Hey, what the f- is this?" or when I told him, "Why should I listen to what you have to say is like actually Christ-like or not when you're like following all these porn accounts and all these porn artists?"
Hmm.
And he didn't say anything like, "Oh, I forgot to unfollow them" or anything. He just doubled down and was like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing. Doesn't matter."
Huh. Yeah. And I think that is so indicative of the way that sin is treated among these folks. Because yeah, it is just something that don't worry about it, bro. I have a handle on it, and I know what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's that
There
arrogance,
what
I
was there
suppose.
was
No.
there was what was the other point? I'm already forgetting. Gosh, could you link the start of the tweet you were just reading? Because
Uh.
there was one point. Oh wait, never mind. He said people would participate in Gaylar before it was popular to hate, and when you really think about it, it being popular to hate was when people started to realize that it's wrong to do.
Hmm.
Like they participated because they didn't know it was wrong, and now that they do know it's wrong, people are trying to like tell each other, "Hey, don't do this, like at
Right.
all, please."
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair to say as well. And I think this is the last bit talking about his girlfriend. Goodness gracious me. Let's see. I'm me, not Sammy, and yes, I am gay. Or so my girlfriend will bully about being lol, she's fun. Um, anyway, as a poignant lyricist wrote, it's them that preach so loud, but don't say much really. They don't get shot down when they're shot down. They only sound dumb when you hear them out loud. And I think that's it. Wait, let's see. I'm not going to be accountable for what you make Sam. My only regret is that other people got hurt because of people who have no lives being cruel, I suppose. All this to say, I'm retiring this version of Sam. That's probably a good thing. Um,
That's also a lie because in most recent tweets as of recording this on the 28th, he's gone back to doing the exact same because somebody mentioned him vaguely. I'm pretty sure.
I'm glad that I don't follow this account because I don't
I
want to
don't
be his
follow him,
account. Yeah, I don't want to be his
I don't.
accountability partner. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't follow the account, but people. Somehow cemented myself as like Sammy hater number one. So people will just send me some of his tweets every now and then. When I'm like, I could be napping, I could be playing Halo 3, I could be playing, I could be doing literally anything, and somebody will just like, it could be like 2 in the morning, and somebody will send me a tweet from Sammy like, "Yo, did you see this? Did you see this, dude?"
Oh, that's both funny and tragic at the same time. But yeah, anyway. All right. So, last question. Last question. We won't talk about. I guess I'll put up the Discord screenshots here and how he acts as well in Discord. Right now, because we didn't talk about it throughout. Last question was, yeah, how do we fix the gay LARP? I of course have my solution, which is just ignore them. Because obviously they're doing it for attention. They are attention deprived. It's fatherless
Yeah, that's
behavior.
basic.
It's really
Yeah,
fatherless behavior.
that's
So yeah.
that's basically what it is. They're either like attention starved or deprived of attention,
Mm,
essentially. But my solution to the gap was literally quite the opposite. It's for people to stop being so spineless with sin.
mm, yeah,
People need
yeah,
to stop being spineless, and they need to call it out or like condemn it when they need to. Like we've already
yeah.
done it enough with Sam and his own, and you can clearly tell his own friends like, and there were actually no, there were people at the start of the whole drama where when the first thread came out, people were like, "I'm so sorry, I failed you, Sam. I was in the
Mm.
server when this was all starting to happen, and I didn't say anything." And I mean, poor bastard, the guy saying that. I don't even remember his name, but poor bastard. But it's really indicative that people just like they look at it, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to ruin their fun,"
Mm,
and then they just
mm.
they just let it happen, and it gets to where it is now.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, tis unfortunate. Tis unfortunate. All right. Any final thoughts to leave for my audience before we wrap up today?
Don't be afraid to call out sin in the circles in general. When you see
Mm,
immodest posts, when you see people saying disgusting, when you see people talk about rape unironically or posting gore, tell them to
yeah.
stop, because the more you let it happen, the worse it gets. Don't be spineless. Don't be a
Mm,
coward.
yeah, definitely,
Be your
definitely.
brother's keeper.
Mm.
Also, read. Some of you, please read. I beg of you, please read the catechism. Please read the Bible again if you have already, but also please read the catechism.
Mm,
Those of you that are Catholics, those of
yeah,
you that are Orthodox, look at the early church fathers.
yeah.
Read before you do some of the most deplorable online.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And of course, to you guys who are like, oh, you may not want to be mean, but you can say stuff in a gracious way as well. Like there are ways to do it, which is you can say like you can say truthful things in a gracious and kind and loving way, I suppose, as
It's
well.
it's
But
it is indeed
yeah,
it's indeed quite difficult to do that sometimes, and this is
mm,
something like you'll see with like actual treads. It's a common phenomenon for actual treads to struggle with like charity when they
mm,
in their talk they'll be mean because because sometimes it is difficult to, like, tell somebody to off in a polite way.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So, yeah, I guess just follow. There's examples from Jesus, the way he also talks about sin. And when he there's so many instances in the New Testament where he politely roasts like the Sadducees and the Pharisees as well. So take from his examples. Of course, don't result in ad hominem attacks either, because that's what they're looking for as well. That's the sort of attention they're looking for. So oh, and also, Sammy, if you, I'm not inviting you on the podcast, by the way. So yeah, there you go. You've burnt the bridge down, Sammy. Um, don't don't be such a prick. So yeah, that's it for today. If you didn't see last episode, I'll link it. I'll link it at the end screen. Thank you very much for tuning in to this very special episode on the hit piece on Samurai Ghost Girl. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. If you are looking for other videos on this channel as well, do like, do subscribe. Feel free to do whatever you want. All right. See you then.